Today, the 5 true signs that twin flame separation is almost over. And I can tell you from personal experience that these are the true signs. My twin flame is permanently in my life. I am the world's leading twin flame coach. I've coached well over 3,000 people, and I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that to provide you with some reassurance that there are solutions, there are answers out there that do work. And I believe I've found answers. And that's why I've been so successful. I'm going to quickly go through, list the reasons 1 through 5, and then I will go systematically through each reason in depth, why those are the true signs, and how to look for them, and how to even cause those signs to manifest in your life. And that's really the core of this. So sign number 1, you no longer believe that you are separate from your twin flame, looking past the illusion that you were ever separate in the first place. Number 2, Satori. S-A-T-O-R-I. Satori. Number 3, Samadhi. S-A-M-A-D-H-I. Samadhi. Number 4, an increase in your consciousness, a deeper awareness that you are connected to all things, not just your twin flame. And number 5, you just know. You just know. So, number 1, and this is the most important one, there's a reason that I made this the first sign, because it filters down into all of the other signs. And I want to make something clear here. You may or may not have noticed that all of these signs that I'm giving you, that twin flame separation is almost over, are internal experiences. So ordinarily in a video or a teaching where they explain the so-called signs that separation is almost over, the signs that they're telling you, and I'm not saying this to badmouth anybody, it's just I noticed that you're going to get externalized signs. Oh, you see their name everywhere. You see numbers, and really those things are happening because you're creating them. Everybody knows how the law of attraction works. The more you think about this person, and let's face it, you're thinking about them a lot. The more you think about this person, of course you're going to see their name everywhere. And numbers, that's just an indicator of the increase in consciousness that you are experiencing. This is your spiritual awakening. Everybody knows that twin flames are one soul split in 2 bodies. So you met this person who is actually another incarnation of you. That's really all this is. Everybody knows that the soul incarnates and reincarnates. Well, this is just another incarnation of your soul taking place in the same time period. It's you. This person is you. Okay, so being that you and this person share the same soul, this is your soul's journey. This is your spiritual experience. And most importantly, you're not separate from them. You're a 3-part triune being. Everybody knows this. Body, mind, soul. But here's the thing. You have a body and you have a mind, but you are the soul. Everybody knows that. And I'm not saying that the body and the mind are bad, but they're not really who you are. They're just what you have. Even when you do the thing that we call die, the body falls away, the mind falls away, you continue to exist forever. And you already have existed forever. You are soul before and after this physical incarnation. So when we incarnate here in this physical world, it's kind of like you're an astronaut who is wearing a spacesuit now. And the body and the mind in that analogy represent the spacesuit, but you are the astronaut. You are the conscious presence, the soul. The soul is consciousness, and that is your twin flame. That's who you really are. The mind is thought. And I'm not saying the mind is bad, but the body and the mind are form, and the mind in particular is thought. The soul is not thought. The soul is consciousness. It is your ability to be aware of thought. Have you ever said to yourself, oh, gee, why did I think that? Why did I have that thought? Why am I feeling this way? Right. There is a you who is aware of thoughts and feelings. That awareness is consciousness itself. You are able to notice thoughts and feelings. Did you notice that you are the noticer? You are the noticer. You are consciousness. That's the soul. And that's who you really are. And that's your twin flame. You already are not separate from your twin flame, guys. The idea of separation is exactly that. An idea. An idea is a thought. That's the mind. And I'm not saying that's bad, but that's what that is. Everybody on earth lives through the mind, the ego, the personality. And I'm not saying that's bad either, but that's what we do. Everybody believes they are this personality, this identity. And over time, over the course of your life, you accumulate memories of past experiences, thoughts and feelings that after a while begin to seem to constitute your very sense of self, who you believe you are. Who you believe you are. So separation is an illusion. You already are not separate from your twin flame. You are one. Any notion that you are separate is the mind, and it's because the mind is duality, past, future, good, bad, I like it, I don't like it, right, wrong, etc., etc. The mind, thus, is also externalized. There's a me, and then there is something else outside of me, an other person. So, as long as you derive your sense of self from the ego, mind, personality, you believe that it is you who sees this person as separate from you. But it's not. It's your personality, and that's okay. All you need to do is just acknowledge that it is the mind and that you are actually the observer, and that observer is also your twin flame. Okay, this leads me to talking point number 2. Satori. Now, I'm going to get into talking point number 3 as well. I'm going to go ahead and kind of combine those two. Here's why. Satori is typically a very short-lived experience where the thought patterns and the machinations and the retained responses, the controlled responses of the ego personality, the stored reactions of the ego personality, that all seems to fall away for a time. And it can last anywhere from 10 minutes upwards of a few days. And it's this feeling of deep and intense peace. Deep and intense peace. And again, just reverting back to talking point number 1 very quickly, these are not externalized experiences. These are not externalized. The mind is externalized when you derive your sense of self from the mind. There's me and there's you, duality, externalization. The mind is what seeks signs out there somewhere. But what I'm telling you is the true signs are in here. You and your twin flame are both in here. You are the same soul. So this Satori experience is a very powerful and spiritual experience. You feel very much at peace. It's a very intense experience of peace and Zen. And it's like the ego, mind, personality just kind of falls away for a time. and you're left feeling very blissful. Typically, when you experience Satori, your twin flame contacts you right away. If they have you blocked, they'll unblock you and start making love confessions. And again, I've coached well over 3,000 people. That keeps happening to my students, guys. And it's for that reason that I've actually decided to make a scientific research endeavor about this, because that's an empirical observation that we can observe. That's how reliable this is, guys. This does work if you want to get your twin flame to come back, right? So when you experience this Satori, it always happens. They always come back every time, and we can observe that and make observations about that. That's science. That's science right there, guys. Now, Samadhi is the same as Satori, but so this is talking point number 3. Samadhi is more over a greater period of time. Just in your life, your day-to-day life, generally speaking, you feel more at ease. You feel more at peace, okay? And it's a gradual process. It can take, usually with my students, like students that join my coaching program, and I give them the steps and lifestyle changes to make to cause these changes to shift permanently into your life. It usually starts after about a month when you start making these changes to increase your consciousness and stop deriving your sense of self from the ego, which is going to focus on the person. It's going to say that you're separate from that person. It's the mind that stays focused on the person, your twin flame. And everybody knows that's exactly why they run away. That's when you are attached. You are attached to your twin flame at the level of the mind. So when you are focusing on them and you're looking externally for answers or for signs, that's when they're running. But when you go in here and you detach from your mind, you stop deriving your sense of self from the mind and start being the self that you already are, the soul. That's when they show up and you feel better. And this energy tends to, it seems like it accumulates over time. Now, it's not really that energy is accumulating. It's more like onion layers of the ego personality gradually dissolve and fall away to reveal the self, the soul that you already are, which is consciousness. Okay, that's who you really are, and that's who your twin flame is. And after a month, you feel amazing. 6 months, even better. A year, even better. And you're going to go through cycles. You're going to go through some ups and downs during that time because your ego personality is fighting you for control. It knows that it has been found out. And so it's going to try to trick you by sucking you back into its system of duality, us versus them, good versus bad. It should be like this. I need to get to this outcome, past, future, right? And I'm not saying that that's bad, but that's what the ego does, okay? That's actually its job, I guess you could say, in a sense. But when you derive your sense of self from the mind, things go awry. The 3-part triune being, body, mind, soul, that system is thrown out of balance, okay? And that explains why the world is in the shape that it's in. So this process of samadhi is a slow one. It's a buildup over time, but it's not that long. It's usually you can kickstart it in a few weeks or months, and then over the course of a couple of years, you just feel better all the time. And then you have these very short-lived, intense experiences of bliss where the bliss meter just goes off the scale for, again, minutes or hours or even days. And then from a larger vantage point, from a macrocosmic point of view, over the course of your daily life, samadhi, which is where you change gradually over time, and you're just living your best, most amazing life. Now, this does kind of dovetail into talking point number 4, which is you feel connected to everything. You start to recognize that you are one with all things. And when you go into that place of oneness with all things, your twin flame is there too. You're specifically the same exact soul vibration as they are. But at the core of both you and them, at the core of your soul, is your connection to Source, which is in all things. And this is actually science also, because science, modern physics, is starting to have to face the fact that one of the only ways we may be able to explain our reality is that all things are connected. And you can actually observe that fact, that teaching, that idea, through a phenomenon called quantum entanglement. And I would invite you to go on the internet or YouTube and just find out for yourself what quantum entanglement is. But it's the scientific observation that conventional science has made that things seem to all be connected. Well, it's consciousness, guys, and that has to be where the science is going to end up. I don't think scientists want to admit that just yet because of the spiritual implications. You know, they kind of want to keep spiritualism and religion and things out of science, which is understandable, to keep it unbiased. But I think they're going to end up at a place where they start to look at consciousness itself in an unbiased way, which makes it not really religious or spiritual or any particular thing. It just is consciousness that we're looking at. And I want you to look at consciousness in that kind of stripped down, pure kind of empirical way too. Consciousness is nothing more than awareness. It's not an idea. It's not a belief system. It's just awareness, and it's what you are. You are consciousness at your very core. Remember, you are the soul. You have a body and a mind. The mind is thought. Consciousness is the soul, which is your twin flame. Consciousness is not thought, and you feel connected to everything, the flowers and the trees and that building over there and your next door neighbor, even things that people that are negative people, so to speak, right? It's hard for you to label them negative even. It's not necessary for you to embrace them or celebrate people that do bad things, so to speak, but you recognize that it's just another soul who forgot who they are. Even if you don't want them around in your life, even if we don't condone the actions of those people, it's just someone who's unconscious, but it is a part of the whole, and you feel connected to all of it. Talking point number 5. You just know. You just know that separation is almost over. You just know that you're not separate from them or from anybody else, and it's knowing, guys. Knowing is not understanding. Knowing is to the soul as understanding is to the mind. Understanding is a thought process, and that's fine. Thoughts are important. Thoughts can help us do amazing things, send people to the moon, build computers, skyscrapers, travel. Shoot, plan your dinner schedule for the next week, right? Plan your meals, whatever. How am I going to make my bed? Whatever. But it is thought. Now, consciousness is not thought. Consciousness is awareness, and consciousness is to the soul as thought, understanding is to the mind. Consciousness cannot be understood. It can only be experienced. Thought can be understood. Consciousness can only be experienced. This is key. Knowing is an experience. You have this knowing. You know this information. How do I know that? I just know. You are the knower, and it cannot be understood because consciousness is not thought. And I suppose you could call it intuition. So there you go, guys. There's the 5 true signs that twin flame separation is almost over. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.